This is a White House statement from Joe Biden. He said, today, after many months of intensive diplomacy by the U.S., along with Egypt and Qatar, Israel and Hamas have reached a ceasefire and hostage deal. This deal will halt the fighting in Gaza, surge much-needed humanitarian assistance to Palestinian civilians, and reunite the hostages with their families after more than 15 months in captivity. I laid out the precise contours of this plan May 31st, 2024, after which it was endorsed unanimously by the U.S. Security Council. It is the result of not only the extreme pressure that Hamas has been under and the changed regional equation after a ceasefire in Lebanon and weakening of Iran, but also of dogged and painstaking American diplomacy. My diplomacy never ceased in their efforts to get this done. You see how he frames this? I laid out the precise contours of this plan. You know what he's saying.
Yeah.
Trump did it, and he's going, yeah, but it's just like what I proposed. So he's trying to take credit for it. He takes credit for it directly. But let's just watch this clip, and you can see this is a statement. Donald Trump was directly involved. It's his ceasefire.
Well, this is what I say.
You got to turn that volume down, yeah. We had to crank the volume because of the...
Because he can't talk that loud.
Biden was talking about this.
According to diplomats who were involved firsthand in the negotiation, President Biden refused to put any pressure on Netanyahu. And ultimately, they gave up that any deal would happen. It was... And Don, you and I talked about President Trump. I have no love, and I don't want to give Trump any credits, but I know but I am in the business of telling the truth.
Same.
Good for you.
Donald Trump intervention has been monumental in making the ceasefire deal possible, and just
she said Donald Trump
to make people understand, President Biden not only refused on multiple occasions to put any pressure on the Prime Minister of Israel to do any deal. People who were involved in the negotiation, including Israeli negotiators, told me firsthand that very often they felt that he was more than backing the negotiating team, the Israeli negotiating team. He was backing the Prime Minister agenda and his desire to stay in office. The Israeli media and Israeli ministers, including Ben-Gvir, today confirmed that it was President Trump. Yeah. Israeli media also confirmed that Netanyahu already gave up on the hostages. He was willing to sacrifice the hostages for his political desire to stay in power. However, Donald Trump happened to be a transactional president, happened to be a transactional man. He wanted to come to the White House with a win. And that was always his approach.
Let me ask you this then. So why did they not wait until he took office, which is just going to be in about a week?
Because he didn't want to deal with this issue as he get into office. He wanted this issue off the table.
Why wait?
Okay.
Yeah, if you can get it done, why?
Exactly. I think Donald Trump would like to have started off. We know Donald Trump, the day of his inauguration or on the day to announce a ceasefire. The fact that it happened on Biden's watch, I think that leads many people to question whether it was. And look, I'm not saying that you're wrong.
Let me just try something for you, Donnie boy. Could it be that Trump actually cares the hostages get released?
Right, exactly.
When you are a political demon and you can't imagine doing something selflessly and not for political motivations, they can't imagine that somebody would do it just because it's the right thing to do.
That's right.
Like I was saying yesterday, it's kind of the officially kind of close to the same deal that Biden has been doing for months, or their administration has been doing for months. But Trump said, yo, Netanyahu, this is what we're going to do. You're going to suck it up. You're going to like it.
I've heard reports that Netanyahu has been either not against getting the hostages back, but has not been trying very hard or whatever.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah,
I mean, that's basically what she was saying, that Netanyahu didn't care. He wrote them off and was willing to let them die.
And
then
said,
Donald,
no. Yeah.
see, here's the thing. Brett hit the nail on the head with the hammer. These people are projecting. Don Lemon was telling you what he would do, not what Trump would do.
Yep.
He would let them suffer so that as soon as he came in, he could declare how great he was. Trump says, I don't want that on my record. You get those people free now.
Yeah. Plus, it doesn't hurt that you have the leverage of a guy that's coming in 5 days. That's like, I'm going to rain hellfire down upon you.
Yes,
and that kind of changes the leverage of the conversation a little bit.
Well, so there's this viral tweet here. Second City bureaucrat says Israel's are reporting that Trump blew Bibi's back out. And there's this post. I'm not saying this is true, but it's a viral post. And it says, there was no deal, LOL. The great and huge Donald Trump took Netanyahu's hand, bent it behind his back, bent it a little more, a little more, then pushed his head on the table and whispered in his ear that he would kick him into balls in a moment. It's a shame Biden didn't realize this a long time ago.
It's fair. That's fair.
I mean, I'm just gonna pretend that that's the case.
Look, remember, the United States has always had the United States. Just because, as much as like Donald Trump is going to do great things and has done great things just by the force of his personality, the reason that people listen is because he's the president of the United States. So that means that it's the United States power, soft power and military power, that actually does the job. So Biden could have done this at any point if he had the balls and people believed that he would follow through. He could have called up Bibi and said, look, this is going to happen. And there's any number of different levers of power that the United States has had at its disposal for the entire time that Joe Biden has been president, and Joe Biden is too inept or too much of a coward to actually do it. So it's great that Donald Trump did this. It's awesome. But it's not like Donald Trump, the man, is what made this happen. It's Donald Trump threatening to use the power that the United States of America has. And it's all... And the fact that Joe Biden hasn't done it is all because he's a terrible president.
I think a lot of the foreign policy we see, or I should say a lot of the actions we see overseas, particularly under the Obama administration, they wanted to happen. The spread of ISIS, the deep state, Obama wanted ISIS to dismantle Bashar al-Assad's government in Syria. So they go, oopsie, it just happens. When it comes to the war with Israel and Hamas, Joe Biden and the Democrats want it to happen. Donald Trump, look, you take a look at Ukraine. The war the war is escalating. It's coming up to the point of war and civil war under Obama. Trump gets in, nothing. Stops.
Yeah.
ISIS crushed. Then Joe Biden gets in, war everywhere. I'm sorry, but I see a pattern. When these warmongers, there's a reason we call them that, get in power, war just happens all over the place. And then when Trump gets to power, it doesn't. And in fact, it's stopping. I think the only reason Joe Biden, it didn't happen is because Joe Biden intentionally didn't want it to. And the only reason he's taking credit for it now is because he has no choice, because Trump said, I'm the president, I'm going to be in 5 days, and I am going to destroy you. And they're like, okay, we'll stop.
Well, isn't the solution to every conflict, every war, every disagreement, communication and agreement between two powerful people? And if whether or not you believe Putin in his interview with Tucker Carlson, he's not even calling me. He's not even trying to talk to me. It's probably pretty reasonable to believe that most, if not all, conflicts could be solved through negotiation and discussion and communication. If he's not doing it, it's no wonder that this took this long.
I don't completely agree. I think it's largely true, because there's a reason people go to war. They want something. But I do think there are a lot of circumstances where you ain't convincing anybody of nothing. Like the Taliban, I mean, Trump negotiated with them, but it was under threat, saying, we're going to back off, but if you go anywhere near these areas, we will come back and we will wipe you off the map. And the only reason they were able to come in is because Joe Biden, intentionally does these things. I'll put it like this. Bagram Air Force Base, abandoned in the middle of the night with no warning to the Afghan security forces. That was on purpose. That's impossible to be an accident. You don't accidentally abandon an Air Force base.
Without telling them.
Right, and then letting locals ransack and loot the base and steal weapons. That I believe, and this is surface level stuff because I don't got clearance or anything like that. They want the chaos in the Middle East to justify further action. We can go and blow up countries or move governments, and they can use all the chaos as their justification for it. Trump says no. But look, Vladimir Putin wants something from Crimea. He wants Sevastopol. He wants that area. I don't think communication guarantees it ends. Trump puts the weight of nuclear bombs behind his words, and those are the kind of words that might actually stop the fighting.
Well, the point of that is that, yes, I don't disagree, but I guess the point of what I'm trying to say is that ultimately it comes down to a negotiation. It's like, I'm twisting your arm, you're twisting my arm. It's a negotiation that solves it ultimately. I lose a power position, I lose the upper hand, whatever, it gets negotiated out. So at the very least, if it couldn't be solved purely on negotiation, then isn't it reasonable to say that you should probably be calling this dude regularly? You should probably at the very least be in communication regularly to figure out what the deal is. But if you just never call him, it's no surprise that it would never end.
That was also a problem as well, because they would get mad whenever Trump would say, yeah, I talked to Putin, I talked to these guys, and then say, why are you talking to him? Because they don't understand what diplomacy actually is. One of the most interesting things she said in that interview was calling him a transactional president, meaning like that is actually the point of diplomacy when you actually have leverage, which is that he will open lines of communication with them, but also they have to take worry that if he actually puts a threat out there, that he would enact it, where they don't have to worry about that with the current administration.
Yeah, and transactional meaning deal making.
Yeah,
deal making.
That's the point,
solution
right?
maker.
Which is funny because that concept should be seen as a benefit to everyone, right? Like you can't simultaneously call him like an unhinged dictator and then also call him somebody who wants to go to the table and negotiate.
One of the things about Donald Trump is Donald Trump wants wins and Donald Trump wants victories. He'll make deals. He will. I've long said that if the Democrats had embraced him at the very beginning of his candidacy or his presidency in 2017, if they'd embraced him and said, we love this guy, and patted him on the back and said, let's go win for America, if they had done that, he would have played ball and he would have been an asset to the Democrat Party. He would have probably not have had. He probably would have destroyed the MAGA coalition that grew around him during his first term, and he would have essentially become a Democrat. That's because he wants people to like him and he wants to win. So if it's not a situation of, oh, I have these deeply held convictions that I want to see happen, all he wants is good things for the country.
That was actually evident in the first term. Do you remember when he sent invitations to all the members of the National Black Caucus and asked them to come in for a meeting, and they all just refused to go in there? He wanted to deal. He wanted to play ball with everyone from day one, but they couldn't do that because they had backed themselves into the corner of calling him a bunch of names that didn't actually pan out.
If you look at what Biden was saying, he was basically saying that thing Trump did, I did. All the good stuff that Trump is about to do, actually, that was me.
Yep.
That was the point.
All the stuff I did and all the things that are coming, I planted the seeds for. He's literally just vacuuming up as much credit as he possibly could.
I think the worst part of all of that was the talk about when he was talking about climate change and he was talking about securing a future for your kids and your grandchildren, while not addressing the fact that the debt just keeps piling and the national debt just keeps growing and growing and growing. They've sold out your children's future. They've sold out your grandchildren's future long, long ago. So to tie that to climate change, which is just another way to tax you anyways, is insane to me.
Oh, I love it too, because just to reiterate what we said the other day, we played this clip where Bernie Sanders is like, oh, moron, climate change is coming. And it's like, California enacts tons of regulations due to climate change. They tax people at the highest rate in the state. And then they fail to manage their problems and they get these wildfires and then blame it on climate change. So basically what they're telling us is climate change mitigation does not work, right? Well, because California is doing all this mitigation, right? Didn't do anything for you? Okay, well then stop. What's the point? You're wasting money.
Well, it's like people are saying like, oh, it's a natural disaster. It's like you don't have to do a thing to make a thing happen. Like, for example, if I decreased the amount of the laws that happened if you broke into somebody's house and then I turned off all the streetlights and then I made it illegal for you to lock your door, your house is about to get robbed. Yeah. So that's exactly what happened there. And they're like, no, it's the wind. It's the exact thing that we want to throw more money at and squander more money at. It's absolutely perfect.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.